This 17-year-old came into this world as Joshua Alcorn, but after much confusion, discovery, and despair, left it as Leela, hit by a big truck on an Ohio interstate in an apparent suicide. Leela's sense of hopelessness is clear from the note she left online, and it reads, quote, "Please don't be sad. It's for the better. The life I would have lived isn't worth living in because I'm transgender. To put it simply, I feel like a girl trapped in a boy's body, and I have felt that way ever since I was 4. When I was 14, I learned what transgender meant and cried of happiness. After 10 years of confusion, I finally understood who I was." Now, Leela told her mom, but, quote, "She reacted extremely negatively, telling me that it was a phase, that I would never truly be a girl, that God doesn't make mistakes, that I am wrong." And Leela ends her note saying, "The only way I will rest in peace is if one day transgender people aren't treated the way I was. They're treated like humans with valid feelings and human rights. Gender needs to be taught about in schools. The earlier, the better. My death needs to mean something." Joining me now, Shane Morgan, founder and chair of the advocacy group Trans Ohio. Shane, thanks so much for your time. I know you have been in Leela's shoes. Help us to better understand just how challenging this can be.
Well, I think that when I transitioned, which was about 15 years ago, things were quite a bit different. We didn't have necessarily the support groups and the organizations that we have today. But being a transgender youth is complicated, especially if you're living under your parents' house and their rules. Sometimes those rules and the parents just don't understand, which is unfortunate. And I wish that Leela could have still be here to understand that she didn't have to die for her life to mean something, and that things may not have necessarily been okay, but things would have definitely changed.
I mean, she talks about feeling so alone and just a sense of hopelessness. How did you break through? Did you ever have those feelings too?
Yeah, I did, and I think that still for me to think about that and think back to that time when I was in that really dark moment of despair, which wasn't just one moment of despair. It went on for several years. I completely understand that, and thinking about it, I'm going to be 40 in a couple of months, and I'm very shocked that I'm here today. But I also feel very fortunate to be here today to meet the people that I have met and grown into the person that I've grown into, and to be able to share stories and to do community work the way we do.
Leela's parents have received a lot of backlash after her letter, because in her suicide note, she describes just not feeling accepted, not feeling supported by her own parents. Here's what she told CNN, the mom, in an exclusive interview with us. She says, "We don't support that religiously, but we told," and she still refers to her child as her son. She says, "We told him that we loved him unconditionally. We loved him no matter what. I love my son, and people need to know that I loved him. He was a good kid, a good boy." What's your response, Shane?
I'm not surprised really with how Leela's mom is phrasing that. I think one thing that we need to remember as a society, as a community, anger is okay and grieving has to happen. And at the end of the day, this family lost their child. Brothers and sisters lost their sibling. And we need to remember that they need to grieve. And I think through that process, they'll also learn more about the experiences that Leela was feeling, and also probably the experiences about the trans community in general. I know that they've been receiving a lot of backlash and a lot of just, unacceptable meanness, and it's not acceptable. It's not okay. These folks have lost a child, and we need to remember that.